Hi, everyone. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to record that the workshop that Jennifer was telling everyone about tonight. And we're going to use this as our template. So look and see what they've done, and we're going to do the same thing. We don't want to give a pitch video. We want to give a video that is just like this is, and that's sharing, sharing the stories of the students who are going through the program. It's this is a student panel, and it is them sharing lessons learned, or how it impacted them going through this program during COVID. And this was the #1 rated conference out of all of the different presentations. So we want ours to be the #1 session in our conference. So let's use this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get that started. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see you here. I would like to welcome you to our student panel presentation. The students will be sharing some of the challenges that they have encountered during COVID-19 and the transition to online education. As their experiences have been shared by a number of students throughout the state, I look forward to hearing their insights into how we can improve as a system to meet their needs. The session will be hosted by Angela Cordell. Angela is the Far North Regional Director of Business and Entrepreneurship, and she's also the Regional Vice President for the Far North for CCC AOE. She is currently hosted at Shasta College and works to improve what we do on a daily basis. Please welcome Angela and our student participants.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So this is how we're going to structure this today. We're at the end of a busy day, a great day. I'm so excited to introduce these students to you. I've had the pleasure of sitting down and talking with them one-on-one, and I wish we had a day to meet with them and chat with them, because they are so brilliant and so innovative and so resilient. So you're just going to get a little taste of that today. But what I told them was, because it's 3 o'clock, and you know, in a perfect world, I would be sitting around a table with them at a coffee shop, and we'd be having this conversation. And so I just want to invite all of you, if you can see my background, I want to invite all of you into our coffee shop. And that's kind of how we're going to structure this conversation. We're just going to chat amongst ourselves, and we invite you to be the eavesdropper at the table next to us. I don't know if we're going to have time for Q&A after this session. So what I'll say is this: if you have questions for the students, go ahead and just jot them down somewhere. If we have time, you can put them in the chat. If we don't, you can email them to me after the session, and I will send them out to the students, and we can get back to you. So with that, I want to go ahead and I want to ask all of our panelists to introduce themselves, because this is about them. And so I just want to go ahead and ask all of you if you would share with us your name, anything else you would like the audience and our eavesdroppers at the table next to us to know about you, what year you're in college, or where you're at kind of in your college journey, and your area of discipline, and maybe where you live and what college you go to. I don't remember if I said that or not, but let's go ahead and start there. And let's start with Aisa. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, my name is Aisa Romero. I am living in San Diego. I am a second-year physical therapist assistant student at San Diego Mesa College. I'm going to be graduating in May of this year, so super excited about that. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here. Glad to be a part of this.
Thank you so much for being here. Patrick, go ahead and introduce yourself for us.
Hello, my name is Patrick, and I am starting my 3rd year of community college at Moreno Valley College. I want to major in cybersecurity, and I work at the makerspace there. So what I do is I like to tinker and work on computers, Raspberry Pis, 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC machines. Anything that has to do with creating is what I like to specialize in.
I love that. I love that. And I think a few of us that are here today have been in the bus that you work in. What is that called again?
The CTE bus.
The CTE bus? Yes. I love that space. That's so, so cool. And you've had the opportunity to work on that and to share your passion for what you do with high school students and other students, right?
Yes, elementary, middle, high school, and even adults, as they like to join the bus too, and the makerspace.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Caitlin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Hamilton, and I'm 18 years old. I'm from a small town called Weaverville, California, and I graduated high school last June of 2020. So this is my second semester of college, and I hope to obtain a degree in kinesiology.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for being brave enough to dive into college in the middle of all of this. It does. It takes courage. It takes being brave. So thank you for that. And thank you for having the courage to share your experience with us today. I see there's a lot of kudos coming in. So thank you, everybody. All right. So let's dive right in, because I know that time is going to go fast. So let's start with Aisa. You are our most seasoned college student, so I thought that I would put you on the spot first. And actually, kind of towards the end of our first talk, I learned that you have a bachelor's degree. You chose to return to community college. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I graduated with a Bachelor in Science in Kinesiology with an emphasis in pre-physical therapy from San Diego State University. It took me a little while to finish. I changed my emphasis a couple of times, but then I finally found that path and decided to pursue it. Once I was finished with undergrad, the next step from that pre-physical therapy would be to go the doctorate of physical therapy route, which is a 3-year graduate program. And so I did apply one cycle to various doctorate programs for physical therapy. That process included prep, like prepping for the GRE and taking it, prerequisite courses, completing the application, which is a whole story on its own. There's a lot that goes into that, and paying for those applications. I didn't get in the first round after applying, and I had to kind of take a step back and look at what my options were. It was either update my prerequisite classes that were going to be expiring, and re-study for the GRE and take it and go through that whole process all over again, or look into other programs that could help me get to where I ultimately wanted to be in the field. So, you know, I considered a lot of different factors when making my decision to apply for a physical therapist assistant program. Some of those factors were tuition. So tuition for the doctorate level program, I would have been in debt probably over $100,000, and that's probably lowballing that estimate. Whereas the assistant program at Mesa College, I think tuition total is about $5,000. So drastic difference there. The years of schooling that I would have had to do. So the graduate program is 3 years. The assistant program is 2 years. And just thinking about location, obviously a lot of factors went into this decision. And I made that decision to apply, and it was a first come, first serve system with the physical therapist assistant program. And I was one of the first 30-some people to apply. So I got in, and it's been an absolutely amazing experience. I don't regret not going for the doctorate because of all the reasons I've kind of listed, and then some. And I'm getting a lot out of it. So I'm glad to be here.
I'm really thankful that community college was able to offer that other option to you, and that you have found it to be, that you feel like it was a good choice and that you feel like it's a good alternative. That's fantastic. So you went through your bachelor's degree program, quote unquote, back when things were normal, quote unquote. And then you started this program before COVID. So can you tell us what that was like to have that transition? It sounds like it was a bit sudden to have a transition from a very hands-on technical field that you're trying to study from a physical in-person learning environment to that remote environment.
Definitely. So I had completed my first semester already, which was a whirlwind. I actually think this program is harder than all my bachelor classes and getting that degree. But I was really dedicated to doing it. So that kind of involved forming a study group, which I had established my first semester there. We had a routine. We all studied fairly similarly, and we were getting really good grades. We were practicing together, probably just too much. We were a little bit on the overload side. But then COVID hit second semester, and it was a split change from one day to the next. We were in lab on, I believe it was a Wednesday. We were in class on Thursday, and we got an email. We're no longer coming to campus. So next week we'll be completely online, and we will go from there. So it was definitely a drastic change with the social distancing. I wasn't allowed really to meet up with my study group. And it was, I'm just replaying memories in my head right now. It was just such a drastic change from what I had been used to from the previous semester. We had used open lab hours to practice our hands-on skills. That was no longer an option. Like I said, study group, we weren't meeting anymore. We weren't getting feedback from our professors because we were no longer having lab in person. We had a lot of our practicals, which is the hands-on testing portions. It was all done over Zoom, which is incredibly difficult to even manage because A, we don't have that same practice. B, some of us didn't have people to actually have as patients to show our professors the skills that we needed to get the pass on, if that makes sense. So it was very challenging for a lot of students, myself included, having to balance between 3 roommates in the same house when we can use the area in the kitchen for our Zoom classes, for just various things. So we'd be in the dining room studying, and people would be making food in the kitchen, and it was messy. It was a lot.
Messy. I think that's a really good word to describe it, actually. It is. It's messy. And I really want to highlight what you said about feedback. One of our speakers earlier was talking about the importance of feedback between faculty, between teacher, and between student. So I appreciate that you highlighted that feedback changed, that there was a challenge with that.
There definitely was. Normally in class we'd have professors coming around and giving us tips and adjusting what we're doing because it's really all hands-on. And so we have to practice on our roommates who don't really know what we're supposed to be doing or what it's supposed to feel like. So their feedback isn't at that same level that we would have gotten in lab.
I appreciate that. I'm going to bounce over to Caitlin for just a couple of minutes, but we are going to come back to you, Aisa. Caitlin, as I kind of mentioned when you gave your introduction, so you graduated from high school in the midst of COVID. Did you have an in-person graduation? Did you walk or?
We did. It was outside. It was very different. We had to be very creative. Our families, we were allowed a certain number of people in our family, our immediate family, and then they were in little squares on our football field, and yeah. So we just had to be very creative about it.
And you said how many people were there in your graduating class?
I think we had a total of 40 or 50.
40 or 50. Okay, yes. So for those eavesdroppers, Weaverville is a very small town in far northern California between Redding and the coast. So Trinity High School is a small but mighty high school.
Yes.
So then you were planning on going away to school, but because of COVID and because it didn't make sense to move and some other factors. Well, why don't you tell us about that? Tell us about why you decided to press pause on going away to school and instead you enrolled in your local community college.
Yeah, so ultimately, since everything was just online, I wanted to save money, stay home so that I didn't have to pay rent, moving out. So yeah, when you're in high school, you have certain expectations of what college could be like. You plan everything out, at least you think you have everything planned out, but then, it's not what I imagined my first year to be. So when COVID came, it just changed everything.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sticking with it though. You won't regret it. And we're working really hard to get back to that place where we can give you the dream college experience that you're wanting. So thank you for sticking with us. Tell me what it's been like for you though, because you didn't have a college experience before. Tell me what it's been like for you to learn online.
Very, very difficult in some aspects. With my desired major, it's pretty hands-on. So my lab classes that I'm taking, that's been a challenge because it's all simulation videos or YouTube videos pretty much, and you don't get that kind of experience that you kind of need to. It's been pretty difficult in that aspect alone. So,
okay. Have you made any friends, or have you like classmate friends?
No, it's been I don't know. An online environment can feel pretty isolating. Yeah. Because it's also kind of working up the courage to even chat with someone, because you just, sometimes you just have to be reminded that there are actual people on the other side of the screen, because you just forget that. So,
yeah, absolutely. I hear that. I do. You did share with me, I think you said it was your physiology teacher that you've really appreciated them. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I really appreciate my physiology professor. I would describe him as very motivational, because physiology is just an overall hard class to take. Mm-hmm. So when you add that online aspect to it, that's just a little bit more difficult, especially with the lab. And I just appreciate that he acknowledges that, and that he just lets us know that he's really just there for us. He will require us to watch motivational YouTube videos, and he'll even tag on some motivational quotes after the end of some announcements that he makes weekly. And he just always ensures that, or makes sure that we know to ask any kind of question or anything like that.
That's awesome. So it's not just about physiology. It feels like he really cares that you all are doing well and that you stay positive as you're going through this experience.
Yes, and that definitely helps. And especially when I said that it just can feel a little isolating, knowing that someone else cares.
That's okay. Most of us have pets and they decide to bark at the most inopportune times. No problem. Hey, we'll chat with Patrick for a little bit and then we'll come back to you. Okay, Caitlin? All right, sounds good. Patrick, our tech guru, our cybersecurity whiz. You spoke so passionately about your program. I'm so excited for you to share with everyone.
Yes. So this program that I recently joined and I got accepted to is the apprenticeship program at my college. And it's a really cool program because it really shows what the benefits of being in community college. And in this program, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be studying and also getting real world experience in the field. So I'm going to be shadowing an IT engineer at some point or another, working with a company that will hire me, and I will get to actually apply the skills I learned at the school and, you know, test them and meet new people and network. And I feel like because I've talked to people that are in universities and other schools, they don't have these type of experiences. It's really awesome that in community college, they let you go there. We have a lot of professors and staff too that have a lot of experience. My favorite professor at the college, I've had more than 6 classes with her, is Professor Casey Wynn. And she was a consultant, I think, for cybersecurity. So that helped a lot. But yeah, I really appreciate community college because of those programs. And I'm already in the program, and we're already studying and doing practice exams for the CompTIA certification, which is basically, you know, once you get that certification, you can find jobs right out of college. So
that's fantastic. And what made you decide to go into cybersecurity?
I went into cybersecurity because I believe that in every culture and in every place, everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, everybody believes you have the right to privacy. And defending of it is very important nowadays because with all these IoT devices and smart devices and, you know, basically everything being public, it's very important for us as people, as a society, to keep our protection and keep our privacy in our side. So that's the reason why I wanted cybersecurity. And it's a very diverse place. And you meet a lot of different people from all over the world and a lot of different cultures. And even there's a lot of males and females. It's fairly balanced. It's really nice.
That's fantastic. That's very exciting. And I didn't know that about cybersecurity before you and I talked, that from your perspective, that there is this great diversity within the discipline and within the field, because there's this common thread of, as humans, we want to feel safe, we want to feel protected, and yes, and we want our privacy. I think that that's great that you recognized that.
And it's so diverse the field too. Let's say I have a coworker and she's studying cybersecurity, but she wants to apply it in the public school or she wants to be a teacher. And there's some other people in cybersecurity that want to work on the business side. And there's some that want to work in, let's say, the private sector. There's so many options. You're not limited to one field with cybersecurity.
I love that. That's fantastic. You also told me something else very interesting about many of your classes, and that has to do with due dates and assignments. Can you share that with us? Because I had never heard of this before, but I think it's very interesting.
So before COVID happened, I used to take a lot of night school, which is basically like classes after 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And online school was basically the alternative. And since we're in COVID, now we have online school. And what's nice about these type of classes is that the teachers know who you are. Like they know that you have family, you have work, and you have so many responsibilities and duties. So what's nice about it, I've taken a lot of classes at my college where the teacher doesn't place really a due date. They give a soft due date on assignments. And as long as you complete those assignments before the class ends, they will grade it. And you basically have this, you have the ability to create your schedule and your process of studying. And that makes it very helpful because there are times where I would be in class and I would just have to get pulled out because I have to go help a family member with something. For example, with I'm going to mention my professor again, in Professor Casey's class. I should be in her class right now, but I'm not. But she understands that I have work and other things to do. So she allows me to leave the class and I wouldn't have a problem. On top of that, the teachers post the lecture they recorded on Zoom. And a lot of my professors also post the notes from the class. So you don't even have to take the notes so that you can study the notes and prepare, make up for the work that you're missing or the time you're missing from the class. So it's really nice that you have all this flexibility. And I really enjoy the teachers that give it to us and understand that. And those professors are going to be the ones who are going to help you anytime they can. They're going to give you the office hours and the tutoring available. that's basically what's gonna make you enjoy community college. It's the flexibility.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it certainly requires that you be responsible for your own schedule, but the ease of knowing that you can work around life, that's huge. And I remember you saying to me, and I thought this was really interesting, that you find office hours to be the most valuable, because that's when you get to know your instructors. It's not necessarily in a class, even in an in-person class, it's during office hours when you can have one-on-one conversations with them. So office hours are very important to you.
They are. I've talked to many of my professors. One of my favorite ones was in my political class, where I got to talk to my professor about my beliefs. And he gave me information about books where I can look into it more deeply, and how to, basically spread out and, learn new things. So that was outside of class. And I found that more interesting than the class itself.
That's fantastic. Sounds like a great teacher. I want to take a poll around our coffee table real quick. How many of you prefer to have recorded lectures as opposed to live lectures? Patrick prefers it. Caitlin prefers it. Aisa, how do you feel about it?
It depends. I think that given the changes with COVID, it has worked to have recorded lectures. Mm-hmm. But I miss being in person.
Sure. Yes. Yes.
And okay. I can also add, I was in another sort of student focus group. Mm-hmm. And we had some students answer pretty much the same question. For some students, it was a lot better to have recorded lectures because of the time to drive to and from school, the money involved in that for gas. And so a lot of those students really voiced that having the recorded lectures were very useful given their circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Caitlin, why do you like recorded lectures?
Yeah, I really appreciate recorded lectures because of where I live. I have really poor internet just because it's such a rural community. So having the ability to go back and just watch it recorded, it's a lot easier for me to get that information like everyone else. It's not all the time am I able to attend meetings like that just with internet.
I understand. Yeah, it definitely makes it easier when you're not worried. You can go back and start where you were cut off, as opposed to if it's a live lecture, that can be really, really challenging. I hear that. I absolutely hear that. So in my conversations with all of you, there were some common threads. And so I was wondering if we could just have a conversation about some of those common threads. The first one I want to talk about is Canvas, and maybe not just Canvas, but the online tools that you are using to learn. Tell me what you have liked about using Canvas and these online tools, and what has been challenging about using Canvas and these online tools. Let's start with Caitlin, if you want to.
Yeah. What I appreciate with Canvas is just the calendar aspect. I just like to be able to see all of my assignments on one page, and then that way I can organize myself throughout the week, and then just prioritize things and all that. Yeah. The one thing I would probably say for improvement would probably be about the external websites that some classes require. Mm-hmm. That can be a little challenging, only because you have to set up another account, and then somehow in some cases you have to link that website to your Canvas so that you can turn in separate assignments through Canvas. So it's okay. It can be a little challenging, but it's doable too.
Okay. Absolutely. Caitlin, do you feel like in this process that you've learned a lot about technology, or do you feel like you just have used the tools that you already had and the understanding you had of technology?
I definitely have learned quite a bit, like with technology. I mean, even Zoom meetings, didn't even know what that was until COVID. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, who wants to go next? Patrick or Aisa? Talk to us about Canvas and the online tools that you're using and what you've liked about it and what maybe hasn't worked so well.
So I've been using Canvas basically since I started school in summer of 2018. And what I love about Canvas is the idea that all teachers, since it's a campus-wide thing, all teachers would use that rather than going through, third-party organizations or websites like, I forgot the names already, but like Chegg or something like that. So that's really nice about it. The second thing I like about Canvas is the to-do list, like Caitlin mentioned. There's a button. It's not easy to find on the website, but on mobile, you can go to the bottom right and click to do, and it would show you all the due dates followed by the assignments that are due and like the contents of the assignments. So that's really nice. What I don't like about Canvas, and I think this is pertaining to, it's more of a person-to-person thing. Each professor likes to put their homework assignments in different areas. Some like to put it in modules, some like to put it in assignments tab. Some don't even put it up there. They make you they put it on their syllabus. So I would really prefer if there's some way that there could be a training for all the professors so that they can make it more uniform. So class to class, it's easy to find things. Let's say one thing about my favorite professor, Professor Casey, sometimes she puts the Zoom tab as a link on the left under assignments. And sometimes she puts it, like in this class, it's in the modules tab. So the first day I was joining it, I couldn't find the link for a couple of minutes until I found that. So I think it's important to have consistency between every class. That'd be very nice. But I have no problems with it. It's been improving very well. I noticed now that the external websites now are built into Canvas. So if you click launch website, it doesn't change your site. It's still within the Canvas app. So it's really nice.
Okay, excellent, good. How about you, Aisa, especially in such a, again, physical therapy? So how have the online platforms been working for you? And I think there's some new tools that were implemented because of COVID, correct?
Yes, so I'll touch on Canvas just a little bit. I like the modules part of Canvas. I feel like most professors are able to organize, week by week what we're working on. And a lot of them will include their recorded lectures, which I will add is helpful when you're studying. You can go back to a certain part and retake notes or relearn what they were talking about. So that's helpful with the recorded lectures. And they'll have, their assignments and places to submit within those modules. I also agree with Patrick with the consistency. It's not terrible, but to have sort of the Zoom link on the homepage versus in the modules for certain professors makes it just a little challenging. It's not anything, super crazy. But the new tools that we've been using, which I've really liked, were PhysioU, which is a physical therapy focused website that we were granted access to when the pandemic hit. And it sort of became our second resource for looking at videos and looking at case studies and practicing our critical thinking that way. That was implemented within our program. And I'm really hoping that for the next years, they stay with that information and content from that website. I think it's been really helpful and it has given a different avenue for continued learning.
I think that's an interesting point, Aisa, is that there are some things that we developed and some innovative things that we did because we needed to, because there was a sense of urgency, but that doesn't mean that those things should go away necessarily when we can start convening in person again. So you mentioned that program, and remind me again, what is it called?
PhysioU.
PhysioU. Are there other programs or tools or things that you hope continue no matter what happens, that some tools that have emerged out of this time that will continue to be beneficial?
So definitely PhysioU. I feel like that's a great supplement to our learning. Trying to remember what the other tools we were using.
That's okay.
Drawing a blank, but if I think of it, I'll come back to it.
I love it. Patrick and Caitlin, are there any, and I'll add to not just tools necessarily, but support services or innovative things that your instructors have done. Is there anything that you've seen happen in the midst of 2020 that you think that's really cool? And I hope that that doesn't go away. I hope that that doesn't change. Is there anything you can think of?
Yes. So one really cool thing about, COVID has brought a lot of bad things, but one really cool thing that it brought for the college and the community is that a lot of people now are using college social media platforms. Like there's one at my college that they're creating a Discord so that everybody can communicate through. We're also using Slack at work, and whenever we had homework problems or we needed help from each other, we would always communicate through Slack. And it's gonna be really nice to have Discord too. Let's say my coworker had computer science class for C++. It was C++1, which I think was CIS7 or something. He would contact me through Slack and ask, hey, how do I do this and that? And then we'd coordinate a Zoom meeting and communicate. And vice versa, I would also ask for help and we'd do a Zoom meeting and we'd communicate through that way. So what I would really like to see after COVID ends, I would love to see these social media platforms stay for the college community so that anybody within the same class across the whole campus maybe can communicate with each other when they need help and need study groups.
Awesome. I love that. Caitlin, is there anything that sticks out to you?
I was gonna say pretty much what Patrick was mentioning, like that, and I hope that that stays. It's an option.
Awesome. Yes, Aisa.
I remembered one thing, that we were given boxes of things, tools to use to practice at home. That came a little bit later after the initial pandemic hit, but I know that the first years were given skeletons, front wheel walkers. We were given blood pressure cuffs and bands like TheraBands to practice our exercises with. That was really useful. Joint mobilization belts that we could be at home practicing on roommates with or our lab partners or, that sort of thing. So that was really useful. And I think that that would be really great to continue, is giving students the resources to practice hands-on skills, even if they're not going to be in person in lab practicing those skills.
It's those boxes that come with all the ingredients for you to make dinner and with the recipe. That's what I'm imagining. But instead, it's all the tools that you need for this class. I like that.
What it was. Yeah.
Love that. That's fantastic. That's an excellent, excellent idea. Patrick, when you were talking about these social media platforms, it reminded me of a part of our conversation last week when you were talking about communication and you were talking about actually some challenges that you had experienced, and you had experienced not just for yourself, but also through your sister, who is a freshman. Is that correct? At the same college? Can you share that with us? And just, I think that that's we can all use this encouragement across our campuses.
So for me and for some other college students, we already were having the college experience because we've already been here for a couple of years. But my sister has this problem since she started when COVID happened in the summer of 2020. That's when she started, but she was in the first year experience. The problem there was that she doesn't know what to do or other than my help, she doesn't know where to go, what opportunities there are. And there's no events that are physical. So that's a problem. It doesn't help. So let's say she wants to become a teacher or whatever. She doesn't know where to go, where the support groups are. And there are emails, but not all emails go to all students. And I would say the website, it kind of is information overload for new students. So I think there has to be an alternative or a solution to give freshman students, the ones that are first going into the school, an easier time to find opportunities they need, whether it's internships, fellowships, or programs, or any of those. Maybe it can be integrated into Slack for a tab, or like there's a tab for apprenticeships or whatever. But I feel like the new students are having troubles getting themselves networking and like learning new things because of COVID. And I feel like they were kind of neglected a little bit. At least that's what I see through my sister. It's very hard for them to do anything, and they feel limited because of that.
I'm seeing Caitlin shaking her head up and down. And it really resonated with me when you were sharing with me that you were getting emails about opportunities, and you would ask your sister, did you get this email about this worksite learning opportunity or an internship opportunity? And she would say, no, I haven't gotten it. And who knows what the reason is, but if people aren't given access to the same information, they're not going to be able to act on that. And we need to ensure that we are getting information out in as many channels as we can to students across our campuses, to the new students, to the students who have been there for a while and know where to look, right? Once you've been there for a little while, you know where to look. But at first, it can be really difficult. Caitlin, did you want to add anything to that? I have a follow-up question for you also, Caitlin.
Yeah, I mean I agree, because I don't know where to look, and you know, especially where I'm from, I'm about an hour away from my campus. So it's just, the networking is really hard. I don't know like any of my classmates, even with like the tools that we have, it's still, it's just not the same. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we are hearing that, and we are going to work on that. I promise we're going to work on that. You had also brought up, Caitlin, when we had talked, you had mentioned that when you were enrolling in your classes, when you were a brand new student, that you had a great meeting with a counselor and you felt like you had some great support, but that changed as you were moving into your second semester. And can you explain that to us? Because I think you brought up some interesting points.
Yeah, so, I mean, transferring from high school to college, it was considerably easy just because I had the support from my high school. And also I was in constant contact with a counselor from the college to help me get set up, and because, you know, I knew nothing really with what to do, the steps to take, and making sure that I'm doing everything correct. So the second semester was a little bit more challenging. I did not have my high school, you know, just being a semester out of it, you know, I didn't have that resource anymore. And I just kept getting notifications on when to turn in my, you know, the classes I wanted to take. I just kept getting those notifications on, hey, this is due, you know, but I didn't necessarily know like how to do it again. Just also the website changes constantly. So that's just hard to find things in general. So I did contact my counselor and ask her a couple questions, just making sure that I am doing everything right. But I would definitely, for the next semester, I would want to call or have a Zoom meeting instead of just emails. Because my first semester when I was enrolling, we had a phone call, and that was really easy. So the second semester, all we did was email, and it was easier to call.
So you felt like the first semester you really had a good support network, but then moving into the second semester, the support network kind of vanished a little bit. I mean, that is fantastic that you were able to reach out to